Hello guys and welcome to my BFA pre-patch guide for the Outlaw Rogue in 8.01. My name is Squiggle and today I'm going to be talking you guys through how you can do great damage as the Pirate Rogue and with my favorite class in the entire game. The current patch has actually addressed a lot of the issues that I had with the Outlaw Rogue, and currently there are a few very fun builds to play with that are very different to what we've been playing for the last year or so. This guide will be going over the legendaries, talents, stats and rotation that you should be running for single target and AoE. And of course, since there is only another month left of the patch, I recommend you guys play around with as many of these talents as you like and just try to have fun with the game, as the logs shouldn't matter for the next couple of weeks. So without further ado, here's my guide and enjoy. So first up guys, I'm going to be showing you guys what the simulations are looking like, and these are actually provided by HeroDamage.com. This is a wonderful website. They haven't done too many classes, but they have done everything for all the three rogue classes, and these sims I feel are reliably accurate, as I'm finding the same things happen to me when I sim for myself on raid bots. So first up, we can see that the best in slot trinkets are going to be the braces and the insignia. Now this was pretty much coming because we are losing a lot of burst from our shoulders and our Curse of the Dreadblades. Before, we would be running the shoulders and the insignia with slice and dice. However, right now we can see that the braces and the insignia are popping off simply because the pistol shot is doing a lot of damage in the new build. And you will be finding this in your damage breakdowns, that your pistol shot should be doing at least 10% damage per pull. So this is basically enabling that to be extremely strong with your quick draw talent. Of course, you can also see that the Vigor ring is slightly behind the insignia. However, I do think that the Vigor ring and the insignia will sort of screw up your damage overall. Because if you are running double rings and you do have a pretty big ring in your bag, then this can pretty much screw you up. However, I will say that if you have a good piece of offset braces and you don't have any good rings, then maybe this legendary setup is for you. However, I don't think it is nearly as fun as the bracer build. After this, we can actually see that the Killjaden's Burning Wish is slightly behind the braces as well, and just behind this we can see that Mantle is behind the braces by about 1.7%. Now what this also means is that our AoE is going to be slightly stronger with the Killjaden's Burning Wish rather than the braces, especially in burst situations. Now I don't recommend this for single target, especially if you do have a strong Seeping Scourge Wing, because as I have talked about in my last video, the Seeping Scourge Wing is doing very well at the moment in Antorus, which I will go on to later. It is also worth mentioning that the old tier 22 set is actually simming quite well at the moment, simply because of the stats that it gives and the extra crit that it gives you on your pistol shot, which you should be basing your build around. So what this actually does is it increases the amount of crit that you have by 5% for 8 seconds after you pistol shot. So in Adrenaline Rush, this is pretty much a 100% uptime if you do have the procs. Of course, there are some times when you can go dry, but for the most part, you should be fine with getting this proc along the way. And of course, we are going to be running this along with our tier 21 4 set, which is going to give us the Roll the Bones chance of 16%, which is very strong. I do recommend that you guys have a way of tracking this buff as well, because you are going to be playing around differently if you are running these buffs at different times. Now I'm going to be taking a look at these talents that we are going to be running for the pre-patch and what are going to be simming the best for us. If you want a more in-depth look at these talents, I recommend you guys look at the BFA beta guide that I actually did. This goes over the changes that we're looking at a little bit more in depth and why these are working at the moment. But for now, I'm just going to go over them quickly and say that Weapon Master is currently our second best, Quick Draw is our first best, and Ghostly Strike is our third best. Ghostly Strike is not 100% uptime anymore, and as you know, with the braces we are actually running Quick Draw and these are doing insane amounts of damage. After this, I do recommend that you guys go Acrobatic Strikes, simply because we are getting Grapple Hook alongside our Acrobatic Strikes, and our Acrobatic Strikes increases our range and our AoE range on all of our melee abilities. After this, we are going to go for Vigor, Alacrity, and Blade Rush, And I will also say that Killing Spree is very close behind Blade Rush at the moment on Sims. It is only 0.3% behind. However, if you are looking at multi-target for burst AoE, I will recommend that you go for Killing Spree. Like, this is a really strong talent, especially for Mythic Plus. So definitely test it out and see how you like it. So right here is going to be my highest simming gear. Now obviously we can see that haste and verse are going to be very strong, just behind agility because we have actually lost the concordance buff. After this we are going to be having crit, and then right at the bottom is going to be mastery, which is about half as much damage as each point of agility gives you. So right now it just looks like you are stacking haste and versatility up to a cap. There is probably going to be a cap where haste becomes worse than crit, but I think it is too high of a cap to even think about right now. On top of this, it is also worth going the agility feast, the lavish Suramar feast, and this will give you the max amount of stats that you can get from any type of food in the game. So if you are raiding, make sure that you are supplying these for yourself or supplying them to the raid if possible. Next up, we are going to be having a look at the trinket simulations. Now obviously, the Gorgoness Vitality is going to be our best in slot trinket, and the Seeping Scourgewing is going to be what we are running to accompany it. Now obviously, Seeping Scourgewing is just destroying at the moment. The RPPM on it is just doing way too much damage, and it does give a nice amount of versatility. Now if you guys are a little bit bewildered by the eye level squish, basically a 280 Gorgoness Vitality would have been a 1001 before the squish, and a 960 Seeping Scourgewing is going to be 240 after the squish. And then from there out, the heroic one is going to be 225 and the normal one is going to be 210. Next up, I'm going to be talking quickly about what our opener is going to be. Now obviously, because we are running Roll the Bones, this is going to be a little bit different from time to time. However, I am going to say that it is quite standard, and all you are trying to do with your opener is to waste as little energy as possible while getting your roll the buffs up as soon as possible and getting your first between the eyes out. Now for this reason, we want to make sure that we are using abilities in between our Blade Rush and our Adrenaline Rush, because these abilities are going to be giving us energy over time. So if we are using these smartly, it means that we are going to get maximum uptime out of these abilities, and we aren't going to be wasting any combo points or any damage along the way. So what you should be doing for your opener is opening up with an ambush into a Blade Rush, into a Vanish ambush, into an Adrenaline Rush. Now what this is going to allow you to do is use all of your GCDs very well, and it is going to allow you to have 4 combo points for your first Roll the Bones. After this Roll the Bones, you need to be looking at your buffs, and you need to think about the optimal way to get to your first between the eyes without burning any combo points that are unneeded. So you need to get to this 5 combo point barrier really quickly, and then you need to use your between the eyes, and then use your first pistol shot in the rotation, and just go from there. For your standard rotation, make sure that you aren't capping yourself on energy, and make sure that you're using your Blade Rush when you need it and before you do use your finishers. On top of this, I do recommend keeping your between the eyes on cooldown at all times, and I recommend using your Roll the Bones within the pandemic timer of 6 seconds. And remember to use your pistol shot as soon as it comes up with the proc. This is very strong with the braces and between the eyes, and even without it, it is going to guarantee you some 2 set procs from your tier 20 set. And of course, if you are not running the legendary braces, don't use between the eyes unless you do have the crit buff from your Roll the Bones. Next up, I'm going to be telling us what we are doing AoE as the Outlaw Rogue in Mythic Plus and in AoE fights. Now obviously we are having buffs done to our Blade Flurry, and this is only going to be lasting 10 seconds. So the main thing to keep in mind when you're casting Blade Flurry is you want to have Roll the Bones up before you use your Blade Flurry, and you want to make sure that you're using Killing Spree when you are lowish on energy and when there are a lot of mobs around you. So essentially what you are trying to do is to pack as much damage into these Blade Flurry windows as possible, and this includes using Killing Spree, between the eyes, run-throughs, and anything else you can think about. Now, do remember that when you have Adrenaline Rush up, you are actually regenerating a lot of energy, and it's not optimal to be using your Adrenaline Rush and your Killing Spree in the same pack. Now, what I do recommend is using your Killing Spree in one pack, and then on the next one, you're going to be using your Adrenaline Rush to cycle through your cooldown faster, and hopefully you'll have your Killing Spree up for the third pack or the third set of ads. Now, it is also worth mentioning that AoEing with Blade Rush is very strong if you have light cleave on fights like Garrothi Worldbreaker. For example, I was sitting around 4th or 5 in my log when I was using Blade Rush, and then when the arms came out, I started just destroying them. I just popped my Blade Flurry, just did Blade Rush and a few Sinister Strikes into a Dispatch, and it was doing some insane damage. So that just about wraps up my guide for the Outlaw Rogue in the BFA pre-patch. Now, what I am going to say is you guys might need to play around a little bit with the buffs and the rolling of the bones. I can't say, for instance, which ones are worth keeping and worth throwing away, and I would say that it just comes from player experience and just judging the situation. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me on my forms of social media, in the comments, or in my Twitch stream, and of course, if you guys liked the video, press the thumbs up button. I'll see you guys next time for a sub-rogue guide, and I hope you like this guide. Thanks guys.